Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bowerly.
Welcome into Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and tonight we have a jam-packed show. We have guests, we have rookie talk, we have the NFL draft coming up tomorrow, and of course we have some news with a huge a huge player asking for a trade and a huge extension of a contract for a wide receiver. Before we get into all that, let's bring in our guest host and our co-host, Justin Bowerly, Viking Dave, and special guest Josh Wingate. What is up, Josh?
How's it going? Long time
Particularly
no talk.
Josh, who hasn't seen me or talked to me in about 2 months ever since he canceled our show.
Let's say what happened to y'all's show.
It's still going. It's draft time, baby. So I don't have time to talk to Kimmel because he doesn't care about the draft. So
that's fair. That's fair. He was literally just talking about how he does not care at all about rookies. And
I host a fantasy football show, and we care about the draft. Okay, don't tell these viewers and listeners anything different. Okay,
let's talk about something. You joined the beer and sports, and you immediately stopped drinking beer.
TB12.
I thought about that. I was like, it's the Beer and Sports podcast, and it's only when you drinking beer.
Right
Come
away.
on, man.
And I gotta do it for the people. I have to crack one open, and then he's just over here like, "Oh, I got vodka, and it's just water in a cup."
That never happened. Dave knows me. He knows I would never do that. What's going on, Viking Dave?
Nothing. Just listen to you idiots talk. That's all.
I'm excited to be on a show with Viking Dave.
Yes. I wish Dave's internet was
I'm amazing. Everybody loves
us.
Yeah, you make the show for sure.
I know.
Justin,
I can't. I'm not available all the time, but I try to be.
Yeah, he tries to be.
There's like a reoccurring guest star.
Yeah.
Tony, Dave's who's that guy from Howard Stern? Artie Lang. Dave's our guy who comes in and makes us laugh.
Don't say that.
Okay, I got you. You're our
the hookers and blow part's fun
though. All right, so let's
the family show.
Keep it PG.
You started it. Josh started it.
I didn't start. I don't know which one started, but I didn't start it.
Let's start the news. Let's start the news. Do we have a graphic for that? Do we have any intro? No, we do not.
Right.
T. Higgins requested a trade again for the second time this offseason. This time it's for real, he says. He says he's playing for keeps this time. About 2 weeks ago, we heard that he was getting ready to play for the team. He was accepting the role that he was going to play. That changed all of a sudden. What changed? What happened, guys? Someone explain to me. I'm going to start with Justin.
So he requested the trade and was like, no, I'm going to play for the Bengals. And then nothing happened. And then Trey Hendrickson today said, I want out of here. I want more money. I want a more financial stable future, even though he wants to retire also. And then T was also like, samesies. That's what happened.
Okay. Dave, if T. Higgins does get traded and he is a number one, I know we already had this conversation regarding T. Higgins, but can he be a number one in any team?
Yeah, he can be a number one on lots of teams. There's lots of bad wide receivers in this league. And T. Higgins isn't a bad wide receiver. He just has a better wide receiver next to him right now. So he's one of the better number twos in the league. That's all. But he wants to get paid. He just saw what Amon St. Brown just got. He wants to get paid like all these other guys do. I don't blame him.
What if, hear me out, they trade him to the Patriots for the 3rd overall pick?
Come on.
And then take Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors.
Why would you do that?
And you give up a first-round pick and stuff like that too.
Okay.
I was about to say, why would
the 19th overall or the 18th, whatever pick they have, plus T. Higgins and maybe like a 2nd-round pick next year to get the 3rd overall pick, and then take whichever wide receiver you like the most.
How would this impact Joe Burrow, Wingate, if he loses a T. Higgins?
I mean, it's going to impact any quarterback that loses a dynamic wide receiver. I mean, it's going to impact him greatly. I would assume that they look at this draft with the receivers available and they go out and get somebody. So The level of play between a T. Higgins to a rookie is paramount, but I think, it's Joe Burrow. If he can stay healthy, he's still going to put up numbers. He's still got receivers around him, but yeah, I think it can affect him, but not to the extent that we would expect it to, losing a T. Higgins.
It just seems like, I know they have Jamar Chase still there. They don't have Tyler Boyd back. Struggling to tighten a little bit. We hear all these things about Justin Herbert's value going down because he's losing his assets, but he's losing all of his assets. I do believe with Chase's injury history and his yo-yo stats of having a massive game one week, having a basically Deshaun Jackson disappear act the next week, I think this could affect Joe Burrow in a way. Dave, I know you're probably against what I'm just saying right now. Is Joe Burrow a complete stud still without T. Higgins, or does he just need Jamar Chase?
He's a stud. Like, he just is. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And yeah, it's nice to have two great receivers, but he's still got Chase. They'll bring in somebody to play number 2. I'm not too worried about it. It's gonna suck, but you can draft a guy to replace these receivers nowadays.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow is that guy, like Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl with a tight end, and that's it. And a rookie wide receiver. You could replace T. Higgins, especially in this draft. There's so many people you can get in the first or second round even. They could still go best available in the first, get a wide receiver in the second. They could trade T. Higgins to the Patriots for the 3rd overall pick and take Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors. There's a lot that they can do to replace T and give T what he wants.
You keep on saying this trade up to 3 to take. That's never going to happen.
No,
that's never going to happen. If you have Marvin Harrison in your hands, in your grasp, you're not going to just give him up to get a lesser receiver and trade down. Especially what is it? 18? You said,
and next year's first.
Are we believing that Marvin Harrison is the top receiver in this draft?
We'll get there, Josh. We're not there yet.
We're talking like he's God here.
We're not there yet. We'll get to the Amon-Ra St. Brown news. He did get extended, becoming very rich. Good for him. I believe the Sun God deserves every single penny of it. This is great news for the league, great news for the receivers around him. Right, T. Higgins must have saw this and said, you know what? I do want out. And I don't blame him. Another, Devontae Smith got paid this offseason as well. Looks like all of these guys are re-signing. We still have a couple left, like a Waddle. He needs to get re-signed. Don't know if that's going to happen. Seeing this huge contract, what do we think about other receivers around the league, like a Jalen Waddle? Is he going to get re-signed in Miami? Josh?
I think he will. I don't think he's going to get a contract like this because he hasn't put up numbers or been as dependable as Amon-Ra St. Brown has been. But I think Waddle will have to get re-signed because Tyreek, you don't know what's going to go on with him. But I think it's not necessarily what other receivers are thinking. I think after this contract, it's what other GMs are thinking. And they're pretty mad they didn't get it. They're signing in before this one because they're going to have to pay. Because it's always that next person. Like my team, the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb is going to probably get more than this, if not just more guaranteed money. And they're not happy about this because this is a ton of money.
It's a big bag of money. Justin, how about you, man? Do you think this is a good deal for the Detroit Lions and what they're doing over there? It's a lot of money for a wide receiver.
It's a lot of money. That's $30 million a year. I think I saw $77 million guaranteed for a wide receiver. This makes him the highest paid wide receiver in the league. Is he the best wide receiver in the league? I wouldn't say he's the best wide receiver in the league. I think we have him top 5, 6, something like that. I can't remember the rankings. But he's proven that he's the guy. He's the only wide receiver there. Who do they got? The guy from Alabama, Jamison Williams. But Amon-Ra St. Brown has proven that he's a wide receiver 1 in the league. I like this for him. I like this for the wide receiver market. They should get every penny that they deserve. But yeah, this is going to make contracts for Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and everyone after them much, much higher. They're getting Jefferson's probably going to get quarterback numbers at this point.
Hey, thanks for stepping on my transition to Dave. Dave, Justin Jefferson right now got to be grittying somewhere because he's going to get paid more than this. He earned it. Are you worried about him staying in Minnesota?
Not really. I think I've heard that it's pretty much a done deal, that they're just going to wait to announce it till after the draft. I don't know if that's true. I guess we'll see. but I'm sure it's going to be a freaking crap load of money. So I don't know if this changes anything or not, but I already knew he's going to get 35, 38. Who freaking knows how much? And I don't really care because he's worth it. So just pay him whatever he wants.
That's the tweet. It's a done deal. Viking Dave.
Done deal.
Yeah, I definitely
done.
believe it. You can't get rid of the best player, one of the best players in the NFL.
No, especially if you're going to be on a rookie quarterback contract too. I mean, you might as well pay your wide receiver at this point. You don't have to pay your quarterback top dollar. So
it could be some
plan, I think.
Some pretty dark days in Minnesota at that quarterback position if they mess up. But we'll get there pretty soon. But before we get there, guys, I want to make sure you guys all check out the OUSFF Pod Fantasy website, where we have a bunch of information. We have articles now. We have 2 writers writing for the show. So go check those out. We have a recent Scott Fishbowl article that just dropped, I believe, a day ago, maybe 2 days ago.
Yesterday. Yep.
Yesterday. So go check that out as well. We have some DFS content coming out, some best ball content coming out. Make sure you check that website. And of course, speaking of best ball, we do have a charity league that we are running. Justin, take it away. Explain what's going on with Super League.
Yeah. So Super League, second year running here. We're going to have a bunch of leagues. Similar to like Scott Fishbowl in a way. I don't want to say that, but it's a best ball league that will have fab actually. So if you want to make in season additions to your team, you can. If you just want to say screw it and take over, great, go for it. But it's all for charity. So everything's going to the Children's Miracle Network Foundation. So it's going directly to help those in need in the hospitals.
Good stuff over there. Also, make sure you hit our socials up. OUSFF Pod everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, X. Follow us all. Our direct socials.com. Yada yada yada. All of that link will be in the description below. And of course, I'm putting out shorts every single day on our YouTube page, OUSFF on YouTube as well, and on TikTok and on Instagram. So if you want to see this beautiful face, my new gimmick is I wear this hat backwards now. I don't care if anyone notices. It's the coolest thing I've ever done. Go check out me talking about Justin Jefferson, Rashi Rice, and of course of other people over there on the TikToks before it gets banned. People, did you guys see that TikTok's getting banned?
They've been saying that for like 2 years.
CNN, Joe Biden signed a law in 120 days. It's gone.
Yeah,
cool. Awesome.
I'm glad you're coming to us formal with your sleeves on today.
I am.
Sleeves on.
It's very, very. I came from a football game. I did not wear sleeves to the football game. I'm a classy person. Don't want to embarrass my daughter. Did not have time to throw on a tank top. I apologize, people. But without further ado, let's get into the Rookie Matchmaker 2024. We're going to start off with some quarterbacks. Josh, Wingate, Justin, Dave. This is a big quarterback class. A lot of people are talking about the top 3, 4, 5 guys. Man, it's been the most exciting quarterback conversation in a while, I believe. We have Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. We have this guy named J.D. McCarthy, who I didn't rank in my rookie draft at all. I don't care.
Famously.
I still don't rank him. Sucks.
Famously.
So let's start out with the top 2 guys, in my opinion. I'm going to go straight to Wingate. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. Let's talk about them. Where's the best scenario for them? And who do you think is going to be the best NFL pro?
I mean, I think the best scenario for them is where they're going to go. The Bears for Caleb Williams. I think he has a lot of talent around him. I think he can actually be the quarterback to turn them around. In Jaden Daniels, he's going to end up to be a commander. So I really like that. The hot take here is a lot of people are like Caleb Williams is the far away number 1 quarterback. I think you could flip-flop Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels in this scenario because I think Jaden Daniels has probably the best deep ball in this entire class. A lot of people would probably tell you Michael Penix. If you watch Jaden Daniels play, he is a baller, and he is also, if he stayed healthy and had a somewhat decent defensive side of the team, couldn't figure out what to say there, decent defense, because they had historically bad defense at LSU. They probably would have won a national championship with Jaden Daniels at quarterback. So I think Jaden Daniels is probably going to be the top quarterback this year, going into the NFL. But to answer that quick question, Bears and Commanders.
Justin, I know you just wanted to speak. I saw you get on the mic. Go ahead, rebuttal.
No, I love everything that Wingate just said. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the better quarterback in this draft. I have him ranked number 1 over Caleb Williams. I would prefer Caleb to go to the Commanders because why not? I would love to see Jaden Daniels on the Bears, and I have these two ranked differently, mostly because of who they play. I mean, yeah, Caleb Williams is putting up great numbers. However, he was also playing against Pac-12 defenses, which they don't play defense in the Pac-12, so they don't play defense on the West Coast. They do play defense in the SEC and the Southeast. So Jaden Daniels is used to playing pro-style defenses, whereas Caleb is playing high school defenses. So I think that's a huge difference here. If we're looking at the new traditional quarterback, I mean, Jaden Daniels, I think fits that mold a little bit more. You got the running ability and the passing ability. If we were to have a college football fantasy league, Jaden Daniels was QB1 this season, put up the most points. He had over 1,000 yards rushing, I think over 3,000 yards passing, and just a lot of touchdowns. I think he's the better overall quarterback. I'd prefer to have him as a Bear. That is my dream scenario, is that Jaden Daniels ends up as a Bear with all of the weapons that they've added to that offense, the defense that has gotten better under Matt Eberflus. However, I think Caleb Williams ends up being a Bear.
All right, Dave, your turn. Crush him. Why is Caleb Williams the best quarterback in this draft?
No, freaking no. Why are you asking me like that? I'm some kind of like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know all about college football like you will like to pretend. I'm not going to bullshit my way around it. Listen.
Excuse me.
You're like this.
Excuse me. I've been openly and admittedly telling everyone I do not give up about this draft. I've been telling everyone
this
that
is like the first time ever, first of all.
Exactly. Because other years I was into it. This year, I've been busy.
You were into it for like 3 people that you like. You're like, and you stick to your guns on those 3 players.
And those people are right. And I'm usually right on those players.
Sometimes. All right, I don't know. I mean, I think Caleb, I think they're both really good players. I don't really trust Washington in general, to be honest. So that would be my only issue with Daniels. He could be great, but do we trust that organization? They don't seem to get anything right. So that's probably my only question mark about that situation.
I don't know if I trust either organization to fully develop a quarterback. I mean, we just saw what the Bears did to Justin Fields. We just saw what the Commanders did to Sam Howell. They both failed them, and now they're on different teams. So I don't trust the Bears to be able to develop Caleb Williams to what he actually needs to be.
Let's not compare Jaden Daniels to Justin Fields.
He's like Justin Fields light, except he's an accurate passer.
And I also meant Sam Howell. I meant to say Sam Howell.
Yeah,
the Commanders. I meant to say Sam Howell. Sorry, Justin Fields. You're a little bit better than Sam Howell. Don't compare the two.
Is he though?
Sam Howell.
That's true.
Hey.
Justin Fields is trash. Sam Howell's a better player. Like, let's
no,
be honest.
Not.
He had more passing yards last year. Justin Fields is crap. He can't throw the football. All he can do is run around like a chicken with his head cut off. He sucks at football. Okay, I'm done.
Damn, Dave, tell us how you really feel.
I've been saying it for 3 years. Bears fans have been essing his D for 3 years. He's not good. And then some of them are still pissed that they gave up on him and traded him away. They thought they were going to get a first-round pick for Justin Fields. They had to literally give him away. No team in the league, as QB needy as this league is, no team would give up a 5th-round pick. Are you kidding me? They gave the guy away. They might as well have cut him. He's not good, and every team in the league knows it. That's why he got traded for a 6th-round pick. Let's just admit it.
They got
is
more
it
than
that?
the
I actually
overall
think
pick.
Sam Howell ended up getting traded for more. I think, if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I think they got like a 5th-round pick or something for that guy.
Is it more so that his value dropped because of how bad he is, or is it because everyone knew that they were going to take Caleb Williams and he was either going to get traded or dropped for next to nothing anyway? His value was dropped just because of Caleb Williams.
Everybody
Sam
knowing
Darnold,
that
3 years ago got a 2nd and a 3rd-round pick. Like, come on, guys! They got a 6th-round pick. Are you kidding me?
But Sam Darnold didn't get
have against a player, against a team. If he was any good, somebody would have given up a 4th or a 5th-round pick. Like, let's be honest.
Darnold didn't get traded in a year where there was 6 quarterbacks coming out that were going to be able to be a starter day one.
It doesn't matter. Like, if you need a quarterback, you'll trade for one. Literally, Sam, yeah, 4th and whatever. What does that say? Howell plus the
Fourth and a
fourth
sixth.
and a sixth for a third. Like, I would rather have that all day than just a 6th-round pick. At least you move up a couple rounds into
Hey,
the
they
third.
got more. They got more out of that than what the Jets got for.
Listen,
Zach
I'm not
Wilson,
doesn't mean
so.
Sam Howell's great because he's not, but I think he was decent. And Justin Fields is not good. He's not accurate at all. I watched him beat
Justin Fields is
the
about as good as his connection
Vikings
right now.
with 12
Yeah.
points. All terrible. I literally watched him throw 2-yard slant routes to the outside because he can't throw the ball downfield.
Okay, he can't throw the ball downfield. Yes, the when Dave's on, we talk bad about Justin Fields. It's okay, and I agree with it. I think he's awful too. My thing on that is, Josh, to answer your question, the value of, yes, they're going to draft Caleb Williams, so why would we spend more? At that point, if you think all these quarterback needy teams will be competing against each other to go get Justin Fields, if there's an auction for someone like, oh, I'll offer up a 6, Pittsburgh's like, I'll offer up a 6. And then you got, I don't know, a needy team, Seattle or whoever. I'll offer up a 5th or a 6th in a conditional. Like, there'd be teams bidding for this player if he was that good.
Yeah, I agree with that. He hasn't had the greatest seasons, obvious. Like, he has not played well. But you put the film on, and at college, he played really well. The biggest knock I had against him was he didn't know when to say stop. He just continued to play, and it turned into errors. To what Justin said, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft. Why go get Justin Fields when you can go get someone new and rebuild them and potentially have more that you can do with them on a rookie contract? You get 5 years with them on that rookie contract. There's more value in doing that than going out and getting a Justin Fields.
I'm going to say something.
Just agreeing on everything tonight.
I'm going to say something. We're going to move on. I don't like to plug this Twitter account, but the fantasy receipts, I wish they would take that. Remember Justin Fields' first ever preseason game where he said the game was slow? I wish they would find that and quote tweet it and tag Justin Fields.
I think he has. I feel like I've seen that before.
Because how? I don't know. I was
going to say situations
Who did
matter.
he play? Who did he play?
Listen. There wasn't one Bears fan last year that was telling us that they weren't making the playoffs, and all I could do was just laugh because they were god awful. They were awful the year before. Justin Fields had 6 good games against very, very bad defenses, which I came on the show and told everyone that they played nothing but trash defenses and teams that were quitting, but nobody wanted to hear it. And then guess what? Justin Fields got a reality check. But we're not talking about Justin Fields. We're talking about these rookie quarterbacks. I want to get back on the Jaden Daniels bandwagon. I told this to Justin, and I heard this somewhere, so I'm not going to say I made this up. But the fact that I love Jaden Daniels because he's coming out of the SEC, and if you go back and you look at every SEC player of the year since 2014, I'll name them. Amari Cooper, Derrick Henry, Jalen Hurts, Kerryon Johnson. Okay, that was a miss, but he was decent. Tua, Joe Burrow, Devontae Smith, Bryce Young, still yet to see. Hendon Hooker got hurt. And now Jaden Daniels. Those are all really, really, really good players in the NFL. And if history is going to repeat, there's only 2 on that list?
No, I'm saying there's 2 that aren't.
Of course, yeah.
Carry on.
And the guy after.
Who's after? Oh, Tua. Don't start with that. If Jaden Daniels is half the player Tua is, he's a hit. I'll be honest with you. Now, we move on to the second tier of the quarterback situation where Dave's looking at for his professional football team. The Minnesota Vikings are probably looking to trade up. At a Drake May, JJ McCarthy, Penix, or Bo Nix, I'm just going to say all of them. Who would you like to see on the Minnesota Vikings, Dave?
Drake May is going to lead us to the Super Bowl. May to Justin Jefferson for years, and I can't wait for it to happen. And that's it. I'm excited for it. I wish I could watch the draft, but we'll be at the game tomorrow night. That's all right. I'll get the alerts, and I'll be watching Twitter, and I can't wait to see him in purple.
You could also just watch our Instagram page because we'll be posting who gets picked every pick. So, or Twitter, I guess, too.
All of the internet.
Or you can watch a draft show on the network.
Yeah, Dave.
You can watch Wingate.
Which
well,
I'll
be at the
on.
hockey game, so.
I'll be on Saturday, by the way.
I might be on tomorrow night. We'll see.
I'll be at the Lightning game. But yeah, Drake May to the Vikings would be fun, I guess. Better than the other option, which is JJ McCarthy, in my opinion. I'm seeing a lot of people. You guys want him to go to the Broncos and Vikings. Wingate, why the Vikings for JJ McCarthy?
Because I think Drake May is going to be the biggest bust in this draft. At quarterback, he's going to get highly drafted. I don't see the talent there. He is a lot like Sam Howell. Sam Howell was this big name a year before, and then he lost talent, and the talent around him elevated him the year before. And you watch Drake May this year, and his passes are inaccurate. He's throwing over people. It's just not there. Where JJ McCarthy, while he wasn't relied on a lot, the time that he did play, his balls were accurate. He was able to connect with the deep passes. It was there. The biggest knock on him was, why didn't they rely on him a little bit more? But it could very well be true that it's just the offense. They don't do that. It's a running heavy offense. But when you do watch him, he is productive. He looks good at the position. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be a better player. And I think he will be drafted above Drake May in the draft.
JJ McCarthy over Drake May? That's insanity.
The fun thing that would be JJ to JJ. That'd be fun to say. So I could see that happening. So basically everything that you just explained of Drake May is basically Justin Fields. So I think that'd be really ironic. Dave rooting for Drake May, who's basically Justin Fields.
Do not compare my future all-star to Justin Fields, please.
Dave,
I mean, inaccurate, overthrowing people. He's actually a good runner too. Like, it's basically Justin Fields.
Hey Dave, if JJ McCarthy gets drafted to the Vikings, is it going to be J cubed or JJ squared when they double dip score?
Don't ask me dumb questions like that, please.
I'm just asking. I don't know. They're going to say something. You know, the announcer like,
I'm sure
it's J cubed for the Vikings.
Well, that'd be J quad, right? Because it'd be 4 J's.
I don't know. I'm not a fucking math major.
J cubed.
Don't ask
3.
me either. They all sound dumb, but I'm sure they'll be here soon enough.
J quad.
No, they won't. It'll be May. It's gonna be May, so it doesn't matter.
It's gonna be May. Okay. Before we move on, the Justin Fields pick, it could be a 4th round pick, by the way, if Justin Fields plays a certain amount of snaps.
Congratulations.
That's much better than a 6th.
I mean, that's true. That is true.
Look, they added that, and they're like, you're not going to play him that much. Like, you're just not. There's never going to happen.
Like,
never.
And then watch Russell Wilson get like hurt or something. So,
all right, let's move on to the tight end position, because it is, in my opinion, the most fun. Just because of Brock Bowers, and Josh is on the show, and he's a big Georgia fan. So tell me where he's getting drafted, and tell me why I should draft him 101 in my fantasy leagues.
Where he's getting drafted?
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you. He'd go anywhere from like the 7th overall pick to 18,
which is what I said like last week, I think. Just saying.
But the most ideal for me would be the Jets, having him pair with Aaron Rodgers, who notoriously plays well with tight ends, elevates his tight end plays. I think the Jets would be a really good spot for him. What do you mean? I went to a game where
Aaron he really
Rodgers threw a dime to Packers tight end on the sideline against the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Jared
and my
Cook.
heart instantly broke.
Jared Cook.
So, yeah, I think the Jets will be a good spot
Jared
for
Cook?
him.
Was it Jared Cook?
I believe it was Jared Cook. I blocked his name out of my mind. Brock Bowers is just such a
Wait a minute. We have a guy on our show that doesn't know who Jared Cook is. Dave, do you know who Jared Cook?
Oh, Jared Cook. Okay, never mind. I was like, I couldn't think of him as a Packer. I was thinking, never mind.
I'm sorry, Josh. I had to interrupt you. I had to kick him off the show if you didn't know Jared Cook.
He played for Green Bay for 1 year. I'm sorry, I forgot that.
Sorry, that was one of the best iconic catches in the history of my life. I loved it. Anyway,
my heart. I was at that game live. But Brock Bowers is going to be a stud. I would love to see him just paired in Atlanta, just to see those two play together.
No, that's a waste for fantasy football.
I know. I'm just saying, just for me. I'm not saying for fantasy. I know we're on a fantasy show, but I'm also a real life football fan. So I would love to see that, but I think the Jets would be a really good spot for him for fantasy, and he's going to be a stud.
Now, Justin, you have the Bengals. Is that just because they don't have anybody whatsoever, or you're a fan, or you're expecting T. Higgins to move on, so they need another weapon?
Well, I wrote the Bengals before T. Higgins requested his 2nd trade of the season. So, no, I would love to see him on the Bengals, not as a fan, but as like, they legitimately need a tight end. Like they signed some random guy that I can't even think of his name right now. And this pairs them up with, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And they're going to need another weapon on that offense. It can't only be Jamar Chase and Zach Moss. That's not a good offense. I'm not going to lie. Jamar can only pull so much as the only receiver there. Adding Brock Bowers basically adds another wide receiver to that lineup. And also, I think a lot of teams see the Kyle Pitts situation where, like, you draft him really high, a tight end really high, you let them fall a little bit more. So I think that could really hurt Brock Bowers' draft stock. I could see him going to the Jets. I would love to see him go to the Bengals, though.
Dave, I'm going to ask you a strictly dynasty question, and this is regarding Kyle Pitts. When Kyle Pitts was coming out that rookie season, we saw people trade 3 first-round picks. We saw people trade everything for Kyle Pitts. People thought Kyle Pitts was going to be the next coming of Jesus Christ. Brock Bowers isn't getting the same amount of hype. He's just not, because I think people have learned their lesson. How high are you willing to draft Brock Bowers in your Superflex dynasty leagues, and how much are you willing to give up if you want to trade up for him?
It kind of depends on your team. 1, 2. I think people have learned from Pitts because we saw how you're right. We saw guys give up literally 3 first-round picks for that one pick. The thing is, I feel like this draft is deeper though, especially in a super flex. You're gonna have 4 QBs going to top 10, probably at the latest. You're gonna have the receivers. There's 3 that are gonna go in the top 10 also, plus Bauer. So I mean, that's 8. He could go as low as 8, and you could probably be justified. I think he deserves to go higher. But are you going to draft him over one of these QBs in a super flex? That's hard to do. And then these receivers are going to be awesome. So I mean, he can go as high as 3 or 4, and then probably I think 8 is the absolute lowest. But I expect him to be gone by 5 or 6 in most of my leagues.
Yeah, I expect him to go super high as well, especially with all the talent. And it's just a tight end hungry fantasy season, like league. We've seen an uprise of, we just talked about tight ends last week. There's an uprise of tight ends. Sam Laporta is coming in. Jake Ferguson's really good. Pat Freiermuth is still there. There's a lot of good tight ends this year going into drafts, and you might not need a Brock Bowers. I know that some people are talking about taking him 3rd overall. I would be comfortable taking him around the 5th, 6th, 7th range in my Superflex Dynasty leagues, rookie drafts. But I would really love to see him. This isn't even on the board. I don't even know where these guys pick. The Colts. I would love to see him paired with Anthony Richardson. I would love to see him paired with Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman, make that offense a little bit stronger. They don't really have a tight end presence. I know we talked about Mo Alley Cox or Kyle Granson. Those guys are all they're just bodies, right? At this point, give Anthony Richardson a chance. You're not paying him the big money right now. Give him Brock Bowers. I don't know if they can. I don't know if he's going to be there, but that'd just be so much fun for fantasy, I think. And it'd be like an answer to because it feels like the AFC South is all getting stronger, except for one team. They haven't made any moves. And Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Colts are just stagnant while everyone else is just making moves around them.
Yeah, they've signed 2 outside people this offseason so far. They've re-signed most of their core that were the unrestricted free agents this year, including Michael Pittman being the big one. And several defensive players. They've restructured contracts for some of their top talent to create more cap space. There is talk around with the local media that they could trade up to like 9 or 10 to get a guy like Brock Bowers or a defensive back or something like that. We don't talk about defensive backs on this show, so I'm not even going to bore you with that name. But Bowers, I think, is on the list of players that would be on the Colts priority list.
Yeah. The Colts have a lot of cap space, $28 million in cap space, according to Over the Cap. So they could do something. They just haven't done anything. I feel like the Texans got stronger. Titans did the Titans, whatever they do. And of course, the
spend way too much money.
Jaguars. Yeah, spend too much money.
Speak a little bit to the Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers.
Sure.
Conversation of Kyle Pitts was taken probably too high. I've said this since Kyle Pitts was in the draft. I feel like he's playing out of position. I think he's not a true tight end. I think he's a receiver. I do believe Brock Bowers is that true tight end. He can play in line. He can be moved around like a tight end, like a Kittle or a Kelsey. I think you're going to see more of that, to where Kyle Pitts he's playing out of position in the NFL. and he needs to be more of an outside receiver, more of like a Calvin Johnson light kind of player.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for that
Yeah,
insight.
no problem, pal.
Let's get to the wide receivers. All right. Oh, we don't have those little things.
We have you. That's all we need.
Hey, I can do the sound effects. I can do it all, baby. Host sound effects.
That's what I said.
Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison is the perceived best player in this draft overall, coming out of Ohio State. But Josh up in the front, he's laughing about it. I said perceived. Most people say he's in a 101.
I'm laughing at the comment. I'm laughing at the comments.
All right. Laugh at the comments all you want. Marvin Harrison, number 1, best receiver. We've established that. Dave, who are we looking at number 2 and number 3 in those spots?
For receivers?
Yeah, for receivers.
I mean, it sounds like Neighbors and Odunze are the next 2 guys. That's the consensus. I mean, I'm not trying to be Mel Kiper over here. So again, I don't know why you keep coming to me like I'm the guru, but from what I can see, our rankings right there, if you're watching the scroller, Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze, and then Brian Thomas, and after that, there's a couple other guys. So it could go 11 different ways.
If we didn't have these tickers, Dave would know absolutely nobody's name.
What are you talking about? I know all the receivers' name. I know Troy Franklin used to sing R&B. We already talked about it last week.
What school do you go to?
Franklin? Oh, you know what? I do know it. I've heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going
Oregon.
I know where Keon Coleman went.
Yeah, where'd he go?
Florida State.
There you go.
I know where Ricky Pearsall went. He went to Florida, right? Wait,
yeah.
Right? Florida? Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I'm not a complete moron. So calm down.
What about Jalen Polk?
That's probably a made-up name.
That is not a made-up name, actually.
Are you just making up names?
That reminds me of when we used to play that game with Brogan where we just named NFL players.
Yo, that was so funny.
Jalen Polk was probably going to be a 2nd or 3rd round wide receiver pick. So,
all right. So, Josh, you laughed at Marvin Harrison being the 1, or you at least said, oh, we think Marvin Harrison's number 1. So if he's not number 1, then who is?
I think Malik Neighbors is. I think Malik Neighbors does more. I believe he has the thing that Marvin Harrison does the best is he separates really well. He has good hands, but his run after the catch is non-existent. He's basically going to be tackled wherever he's at. But he can separate. He runs really good routes, probably the best routes in the entire draft. And he has good hands. Should be one of the top wide receivers in this draft, but Malik Neighbors does everything. He runs every route. He has good hands. And he has plus run after the catch ability. So I think Malik Neighbors kind of jumps over Marvin Harrison because of what he can do with the ball in his hand.
Okay. Rebuttal. Justin, you're a huge Marvin Harrison guy. I know you are. You still taking him 101?
100%. I could honestly flip either one of these 2. To me, this is going to be based off of draft position on where they end up. I wrote down the Chargers for Marvin Harrison Jr. I wrote down the Giants for Malik Neighbors. I could also see that being 100% incorrect. I don't know how the top 10 is going to go. A lot of people think it's going to be quarterback, wide receiver. So we could have 7 of those guys gone in the first 7 picks, which that's how the draft works. I think if Marvin Harrison goes to the Chargers, I'm going to like him a lot better than if he goes to the Cardinals. But obviously, like if he goes to Buffalo somehow, I'm going to like him even more than the rest of them. So I do agree with Wingate here. I think Malik Neighbors has a lot more to offer. But Marvin is that separator. He's a bigger body. He's physical. He can get the job done. And I mean, his dad's a Hall of Famer, so it's in his genes.
Oh yeah, it's because of the Hall of Famer. Now I noticed that none of you guys have Arizona for any of these receivers. Like none. I'm going down the whole list, all the way down to Devon's Walker. None of you guys have Arizona taking a quarterback. So what does Arizona do? Oh yeah, wide receiver. None of you guys. Let me see for the TikTok clip. None of you guys have Arizona taking any wide receiver. So who's Arizona taking? And what the heck is going on?
I think they trade back.
This is ideal landing spots, not who's actually going to go somewhere. So with their quarterback situation, I don't know if they're an ideal landing spot for a receiver right now. I mean, I know there's going to be targets to them, but if I had to go through this, that's why my ideal landing spot for Marvin Harrison is Buffalo. He's not going to go to Buffalo. He's not even going to be in Buffalo's sights, but I believe that's a really good spot for him to go to, playing with the quarterback situation that is in Buffalo. He might allow him to throw less interceptions. So I enjoy Marvin Harrison there. Malik Neighbors going to the Jaguars. Rome Odunze going to the Chargers is a really good spot for me as well, because their quarterback's used to their big body receivers who can bully cornerbacks. Let's get him there. So not necessarily where they're going to go, but more so our ideal situation. So
I don't know, man. I really would love to see one of the receivers in Arizona. They got nobody. And Hollywood Brown was really solid before he got injured. And Kyler's a really solid quarterback for fantasy. Talk about for fantasy. I don't think there's many better spots for one of those receivers to go to. They need a guy and they've had a proven quarterback, at least for fantasy wise, that can get the ball to these guys. Like Hopkins was good. Hollywood Brown was solid. I don't know. I think that there's a lot worse places one of these guys could end up than Arizona.
I think I do think the Cardinals are going to end up trading back to get more assets. I mean, they do have a late first round pick also. No, I'm sorry. They have the late first round pick from the Texans. So that does help them where they don't have to go and get one of these top guys. Should they get one of these top guys? Absolutely. But they could get somebody in the late first round or early second round. Guys like Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin. They do need a wide receiver though. So, but I would not want to put any of the top guys there because I think that's going to kill their career.
Gotcha.
I mean, the team is trending down, so I just feel like it's just not a good situation right now.
I think that they have other positions they also have to fill. That's the thing. It's not just it's not like let's insert the best wide receiver here and that fixes the whole team and now we're a Super Bowl caliber team. They have needs all over the field.
Before we get into my next wide receiver question, then we're going to move on to running backs. I just want to say, PYP Boxing, thank you so much for subscribing. Make sure you like that show. We're here every single Wednesday night talking fantasy football. And I do want to get to this question because this leads into my second wide receiver question to you guys. Raphael, can you post that comment up there so we can all see it? He wants to know B. Thomas Jr., which I'm assuming is Brian Thomas, of course, and Cooper DeJean. Never heard of that guy, but I'm sure he likes mustard.
He's awesome.
Okay, does he like mustard? DeJean, get it? No one gets it. All right,
he's a white corner.
Yeah.
Wait.
He's
a
white corner.
He's a white corner.
He's on the He's
Jason Sehorn, baby. We're coming back.
He's our starting corner for the whites versus blacks. Remember that conversation?
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
That's who we were starting at corner.
All right, so what do you guys think at pick 21? I know we're talking about receivers here. Can Brian Thomas Jr., is he going to be a first-round pick? That's a stupid question. I'm just asking. And is he going to be super underrated in this draft? Anyone?
I mean, I like Brian Thomas Jr. I would actually love if all of these if the top three wide receivers are gone, Brock Bowers is gone, and the Colts can't get a corner, I want them to get Brian Thomas Jr. at the 15th pick. Another guy, I mean, we're talking about physical receivers. This guy is a physical receiver. I think he's got a shoulder injury. Wingate, you might be able to confirm or deny that one, but another LSU target. I would love him to go at 15. As far as the Dolphins, do they need to draft another wide receiver like that?
They need one. They need one, but I don't know if they need to draft one this high. They have an obvious hole at offensive line. As my dog's going crazy, if you can hear her right now.
Oh yeah.
So unprofessional.
So I know, right? Brian Thomas, I don't think it's Cooper DeJean. I think that's a pick that could happen down the line, but I don't think it's going to happen with Cooper DeJean because he's like that safety corner flex. Could be because he's white and they just want to throw him the safety. But I believe that it's going to be more so offensive line, which we don't want to talk about on this show, but Graham Barton is going to be possibly the pick at 21.
Hey, when fantasy starts doing like, IDP was popular now, and if we get into offensive lineman in fantasy, we'll talk offensive lineman, but they don't matter to fantasy football.
It does matter, and we will fight this through and through. But yeah,
and you'll
it
lose every
matters to
time.
the running back.
All right, we're gonna run through the running backs real quick. We are this is like the least amount of interest running backs has ever had in rookie drafts. I believe not one will be picked in the first round in superflex leagues, with the 5 quarterbacks, with the 5 or 6 receivers mixed in with the tight end Brock Bowers. There's a chance that this might be the first ever superflex rookie draft where nobody takes a running back in the first round. Dave, how say you?
I mean, I don't know when any of these guys are going to get picked. So you're probably right. Somebody might slide in at 10, 11, or 12, but you're right. It's deep everywhere else. And unless one of these guys is drafted into like a really, really like the perfect spot, and I'm trying to think of a team that I can't really think of one right now that like needs a starter.
The Cowboys.
A lot of them.
Didn't the Cowboys sign somebody, didn't they?
Yeah, nobody.
Ronald Jones.
Oh yeah.
No, they got
if
Cowboys need a running back.
If
Royce
Brooks
Freeman,
or so, yeah, exactly. So like if Brooks or I don't know all the top running backs, one of those guys, Benson. I like Benson obviously. But
where'd
if
he go
one of
to
those
school?
guys, Florida State, dude.
Yeah,
stop.
he did. Yeah, he did.
That's my guys. So yeah, if they go to Dallas and there's really no other option, then that guy, his value is going to shoot up. Like, let's be honest. And there's probably one or two of those spots. I can't really think of anyone right now, but maybe Buffalo's got Cook again. But there's a handful of places that I'm sure somebody could move up a little bit and be a potential late first round pick in our drafts.
My favorite. Hold on, I just want to say this real quick, Josh. Real quick. First, my first question is: Trey Benson, is he related to Cedric Benson? Because that will impact my draft because he was awful. Secondly, is he? I don't know. Secondly, Jonathan Brooks is my favorite running back of this draft. He's the only person I'm actually somewhat interested in because he's the only person I've seen play football longer than I've seen him play more than any other player on this list. And I think he's the most explosive. The injury hurts, right? Right, Josh? He was hurt, right? Injury,
yeah,
big
he was
injury.
injured. Yep.
Big time injury. It's going to hurt us. Yep, knee injury. It's going to hurt his stock. But we've seen these NFL players come back from knee injuries all the time. It shouldn't hurt his stock that much. But anyway, I'm not going to say anything else. I don't know anything. Josh, take it away.
No, I think you say that he's the more explosive one. I would disagree. I think Trey Benson is that. I think Trey Benson's the best running back in this draft, the most overall running back in this draft. He catches out of the backfield. He reminds, and I might get hate for this, he reminds me a lot of Edgerrin James. He's not as shifty as Edgerrin was, but he runs very, very similar to Edgerrin. And I think he's going to be a stud in the NFL. He's going to probably go in the second round. If he ends up in Dallas, you're going to see me go crazy because I think he is going to explode. I love Trey Benson. I would marry him today.
Okay, Trey Benson for Josh. Now, Justin, who's your favorite running back out of this draft? And you've been talking about Blake Corum. You've been talking about Blake Corum since the day I met you.
No. Oh, timeout. I said he would fit the Chargers offense with Jim Harbaugh, just because, it's a college coach. I actually, not to beat a dead horse here, also have Trey Benson. I was trying to find my combine notes, actually, and I have Trey Benson ranked as number 1 from the combine. Other guys that I really liked was Bucky Irving and Jalen Wright. I think those are going to be your top 3 running backs coming out of this. There's good running backs. Don't get me wrong, but this is going to be something that we're going to have to actually see where they're drafted before you could actually make a true, yeah, that's the guy. Because if we want to go back to 2020, where we saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire get drafted by the Chiefs, and all of a sudden he was getting drafted 101 in dynasty drafts. That was a mistake. And then Jonathan Taylor happened to end up in Indianapolis and became the running back 1 there, had a great season. DeAndre Swift now on his 3rd team after being drafted as the first running back off the board in the second round. This is going to be like a 2020 draft, in my opinion, with the running back position where none of them are going to get drafted in the first round. We probably won't see them get called until the second round. And then again, it's going to become, where are they going? And there are running back needy teams, the Raiders, Cowboys, Broncos, just to name a few, Chargers. So there are needy teams. So some of these guys can land in the right spot, and these could be a top 5 running back in a dynasty draft.
What do we think about the Browns as a needy spot?
Yes.
Because that could be a really good landing spot for one of these running backs. Because I don't think Nick Chubb's coming back. This is what, his 3rd or 4th knee injury. And it was a gruesome one. So
we talked about that Nick Chubb injury on our dynasty ranking show for running backs. Go check that out if you haven't, guys. Where we all said Nick Chubb was pretty low and Dave disagreed, but then that knee injury, it's brutal. It's going to be telling if the Browns do take a running back. It's going to be telling to see where Nick Chubb's at. There's an injury rehab center. No, Jonathan Brooks. Is he going to be able to start the season?
It's not. It's unsure. Knowing, because if the Dallas Cowboys draft him, I would say yes, because their doctor did the surgery on him, so they're going to have the most knowledge about how his knee's going to recover. But it's possible he misses a couple months, or at least a month of the first part of the season.
This is going to be the most situation over talent, I believe, for the running back position, where if you don't know what that means, just pick the situation over talent. Guys, I don't have anything else for you at the running back position. Do you have anything, Joshua?
I mean, you mentioned Blake Corum. I think Blake Corum's the best of this running back class. I'm not a fan of his. He's not explosive. He just looks like another dude. I can't think of his name right now. The Cowboys drafted him last year as a 5th round pick.
That little guy?
Yeah, tiny guy. He reminds me a lot of him. He ran well in college. I just don't think he's an NFL running back. I do like Bucky Irvin. And I think Will Shipley is going to be a nice little piece for someone who could have some fantasy value. Yeah, I think he's going to have fantasy value and I said I would love to see him with the Ravens because he could be a nice little receiver.
Step back. Yeah.
Yep.
And I like that idea. I kind of hope the Vikings can get him late because I feel like Kevin O'Connell could do some things with him, with JJ out wide and Addison. Yeah. You got Drake May, leading the ship. I can't wait.
Another name we haven't talked about is what's his name? Not McCarthy, but running back out of San Francisco, his brother, Christian McCaffrey. Another guy who was a quarterback in college, running back as well, is playing receiver, has really good hands, could play that slot, could go back and play running back a little bit, and could be that player that just comes in and does the trick plays and is dynamic at the slot position. So he could be another guy with fantasy value that you just stash and then he takes off.
Perfect. Before I have a final question for everybody, want to get to Raphael because I love Raphael. Anyone in the chat or anyone on the panel wants to answer. Dalvin Cook to the Cowboys or Browns? ? Is that a real thing? Do we want that? Will it be efficient for the teams that pick him up if they do?
I think he's done.
I think he's done.
He's. I love him. I'll always love him.
Right.
But
Wingate. I have a question
he's
for
no
Wingate.
more than a complimentary piece at this point.
Agreed.
What's up?
I have a question for Wingate. Did you see these rumors about Zeke Elliott visiting
Coming back
Cowboys?
to Dallas?
I mean, I could see it happening. Jerry Jones loves him some Zeke. If it's on a cheap contract, I don't care. I think Zeke's washed. But
yeah, you get it for like $1.5 million now. So
yeah, whatever. He's a good blocker.
I got a question for Wingate. Are there any tight ends besides Brock Bowers worth drafting this year?
That's a good question.
I would say Ben Sinnott is going to be your traditional tight end that is a good blocking tight end, but also has that receiving threat, kind of like a Jake Ferguson. Trying to think of the other guy. He reminds me such of like a Cowboys tight end.
Like Dalton Schultz or Jake Ferguson.
Reminds me a lot of a player like that. Ben Sinnott's good. I'm not a big Jatavion Sanders guy. I don't see it. He's athletic, but he drops a lot of balls. He fumbles a lot. Not a big fan of his. Theo Johnson is another guy that he didn't get utilized a lot in Penn State, but he has some receiving threat to him. Really good blocker. If you utilize him in the pass game correctly, I think he could be a threat too.
All right.
There you go. All right, before we get out of here, one last question for everybody. I'm going to go one by one. Dave, give me your bold prediction, a surprise, anything crazy that's going to happen during night one of the NFL draft.
The Vikings are going to trade up and take Drake May. And they're going to give up more than I want to give up, but they're going to do it. They're going to win the number 3 for the Patriots, I think. This was going to happen. That's my call. And they're going to give up these 2 first-round picks, a first next year, and then like a second or a third in the draft, which is a lot. But I don't care. Unless he sucks, then you know what? We'll have new GMs by that time anyways.
Wingate, bold prediction.
I got to think, like, is saying 6 quarterbacks go in the first round a bold prediction before top 20?
You think they're all going to go top 20?
Because there's people out there are like on NFL Network saying that 6 quarterbacks will be gone by the 16th pick. So
dang, really? What do you think about Bo Nix?
I love Bo Nix.
I kind of like him too, man.
That's my guy. If he goes to, he needs to go to Miami, or he needs to go to Denver. I think that would be a perfect.
If the Vikings don't get May, I would not be upset if we got Nix.
People are sleeping on Bo Nix because they have some kind of hatred for him because of his SEC career. Yeah, he didn't play well, but I will tell you, playing against Bo Nix as a Georgia fan was never fun. He always made it tough on you. He just elevated his play when he got out there to Oregon, and he's going to be a stud.
I kind of like.
Could that be my bold prediction?
That's your bold
Bo Nix is the third best quarterback in this draft.
There you go, Justin.
I think the first 7 picks are going to seem like a fantasy football draft for Superflex leagues. I think there will be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first 4 picks, including 2 different trade ups, and then we'll follow that up with 3 wide receivers.
Oh, I got another one. It's not fantasy wise, but
all right, go ahead, give it to me.
Joe Alt won't be the first offensive tackle off the board.
Will be Olu?
Who will be?
Fashanu?
Yeah.
Nah, Latham.
From him.
Olu Fashanu. Is he the Washington State or Washington?
I think he's the Penn State guy.
I thought he was the Penn State guy.
No, I don't. Not Penn State. They all have similar names.
There's another guy.
Talisi Fuaga is the one that I'm thinking of.
From Oregon State.
Yep.
My bold prediction of tomorrow night. My bold prediction: Bolts win 3-1.
Let's go.
We're going to win, baby. We're taking down the Florida Panthers at Amalie Arena.
Oh, that's my team.
We ain't going down. All you dirtbags at the Fins Talk Sports Network rooting against my Bolts.
Oh, that's right.
Happening. Oh, that's right. They're the enemy, baby. Speaking of the Fins Talk Sports Network, make sure you follow them at Fins Talk Sports Network. But more importantly, follow us at OUSFF Pod everywhere on the social medias, X, TikToks, Instagram. We're putting out shorts every single day. Make sure you check out our website, OUSFFpod.com, for our top 50 in every single position. We have articles, we have links, we have everything. Thank you for tuning in. Until next week, guys, we're out of here.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. Follow on X and Instagram at OUSFFPOD. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.